So what you're watching is a bunch of young people who thought it was a good idea to just wake up one morning, storm a high street, cause absolute mayhem, threaten people, thrash things, and getting arrested just for fun. And if you combine that with the news of a teachers' union winning up to £15 million in compensation for teachers who suffered all sorts of harm, some getting a toaster thrown at them, you begin to wonder, is this something that is just beginning to build up, or has it always been like that? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And also, as usual, I'm going to give you 3 tips if you're someone who works with young people or who is a parent that would help you to help your young person not to find themselves in this kind of situations. But before we proceed to the main gist, I would encourage you to follow and subscribe, because every week we upload practical, easy to apply, well researched videos that give you practical tips you can apply if you're a parent or if you work with young people, and would definitely make your parenting experience or your helping young people experience both helpful to them and to yourself. It will also make it fun. Also, if you can, I'll encourage you to share and like, because that would help the algorithm to distribute the video to other people. So last weekend, a bunch of young people organized themselves, and this has been happening for a while now. They would organize themselves on Snapchat, TikTok, wherever it is they organize themselves. And so, like, the gang leaders, if I can use that word, would send out messages saying, let's gather at location this, that. And some of them know exactly what they're going there for. Some other ones, out of innocence and just that desire to want to hang out, would just all assemble. And once they come together, the leaders will give them instruction for of what to do. And in most cases, and in the instances that have created the most noise in the entire country, is they would storm a high street. There was an incident, not this particular one, where they looted shops, stole things, and did all sorts of things. In this particular case, the police said there was no looting per se, but there was complete mayhem where shops were closed, people were locked in stores, people were scared. Imagine a bunch of young people in balaclavas, all face covered, and just storming into things, recording themselves, doing all sorts of madness. I mean, everybody would be scared. That has loads of consequences on sales, on the economics, on everything in the society. But for these young people, it is fun. Now, I looked while I was, looking at that. There was this story also of teachers who just got compensated for all sorts of things, and some of the things that they were compensated for include things like a teacher who had a toaster thrown at him by a student. And while he was trying to address and get the student out of the class, the particular student went and punched and kicked this particular teacher to the point that he developed some serious or permanent health conditions. Loads of stories of teachers getting into all sorts of trouble with young people. There was a research from, I think, last year, 2025, where it shows that 1 in 5 teachers said they have experienced being hit and punched by students. 1 in 6 said they had been kicked by students. 9% said they had been spat at by students. News and stories of all sorts of situations where children threaten female teachers of things like rape and all sorts of drama. And you just begin to wonder, what's happening here? Where's the problem coming from? And then while I was trying to process this, I remember that actually this is not anything new per se. In my days in secondary school, yeah, we had a lot of craziness. And I attended a school that is known for violence, shall I say. We had some people who would, they're just complete criminals. They would gather students into one hall and steal their school fees. People who could not be handled by the streets, by the school, or by the law authority. They're just known to be, uncontrollable. So I think these behaviors have always been there. But in a society like the West, where there are a lot of differences from where I grew up, A lot of people have blamed different things. So some people have said the laws are such that young people have so much right that they're able to get away with a lot of things. So parents who want to be very strict sometimes might find it difficult to be strict because they might get into trouble with social services and with the police. The school systems, a lot of them are complaining of being underfunded and are not able to provide the support around special education needs that are, in some cases, are the underlying factors behind some of these behaviors. The law enforcement bodies are also going through a lot of challenges where they are not really. A lot of young people have this impression that, I mean, nothing would happen. They cannot arrest. And if you take the picture to the home situation, which is my area of interest, and most of the things I'm going to be saying is going to be focused on the home. A lot of parents are not properly equipped to deal with this transition that we call the teenage age. Then, if you look at the government, some people have thrown blames to governments for not putting proper laws in place to ensure that these kind of situations are properly dealt with. And so you have a cocktail of problems that leads to this situation that we have. But like I've said, my main area of interest is with you as a parent and with people who work with young people to see how they might be able to help. But that's not to say that there's no fault or blame to go around. So if we zone in now on a parent or someone who works with young people on things you might be able to do, the first thing I would say you have to do is to build a strong behavioral foundation, because most of these things trace back to the homes that these young people come from. And this behavioral foundation, it's something that starts with how you, as a parent or as a guardian, behaves. How well do you regulate your emotion? Are you someone who just gets outbursts and just let it go? And young people learn as they observe and as they see. What kind of boundaries do you set at home? What's the understanding of consequences by your young person? When they do something wrong, do you just excuse it or do they experience the consequence? All of these things put together ensures that your young person grows up in an environment that understands that there are consequences and also understands that they need to regulate their emotion. I'm talking about emotional regulation. There are practical tips that you could use or that you could apply or that you can teach your young person for them to be able to regulate their emotions. Because of every one of us get into situations that helps, that gets us, boiling and getting very angry. But in those situations, you could take things like, de-escalation phrases, for example, telling yourself that I need a minute. Can I take a walk? You just say something that removes you from that hot environment to allow you to calm down and get yourself back before you return into the situation. I mean, things like pause, think, act, rule. You pause in that situation, you think, and then you act. Now, the more you practice that, the more it becomes a part of you. You could also bring in things like safe outlets for anger. When you're angry, some people just take a walk, some go for a run. That anger boiling in you, you could find a safe way of letting it out. So there are a lot of tools you could teach your young person to ensure that they're able to manage their emotions. And so I think a very good portion of this goes to what we do and the homes that these young people come from. The second thing is partnership with schools. Now, I've had instances where some parents make it very difficult for schools to help their young people. My son has gotten into trouble in school a couple of times. And one thing I've always made sure to do is when these teachers report the young person, I avoid any attempt or any temptation to blame the teachers for what they are doing. I encourage them to always talk to me about him, and then I take him back home to do what I can to support him. So you need to create this partnership between yourself and the school. Talk to the young person about school. So what happened in school today? How did you get into that trouble? Support them. Work in partnership with the school as opposed to giving them an impression that school is that thing that is out there to get them. And then the final and the third thing is you need to learn to spot early signs and seek help quickly. Maybe not seek help alone. You can seek help, but you can give help quickly. And what I mean by that is there would always be signs of these behaviors. It could be through jokes, the kind of jokes that a young person cracks. And one that always slips, I wouldn't say always, that slips easily, is the kind of jokes young boys make about girls. When you start hearing crazy statements and crazy jokes that says women are for the kitchen and things like that, that's a clear sign of trouble. And so you need to be careful to pick early signs. Do they get angry easily? Do they enjoy more of their company than the company of other people? What are the kind of things they talk about? Do they talk about brutality and bullying other people? You pick those early signs and you start having conversations and doing your best to help them with some of these tools we've mentioned already. But in some cases, it would be beyond things that you can handle yourself. For example, if it's an underlying mental health or psychological problem, you might not be equipped enough to deal with that. And what you want to do at that point is to seek help from experts, counselors, psychologists to help your young person. Some other times it's just working with the schools because schools might have facilities to be able to help your young person, but admitting that that young person needs help beyond what you can offer is sometimes a very important step. So you might need to do that. Seek help external of what you can offer. But there's loads of stuff that you as a parent or as a guardian might be able to offer. I mean, go out of your way to watch videos like this, read books, conduct some research that would help you to be able to help your young person properly. But like I said, in some instances, you might need external help. And that's what I do. So I'll use this opportunity to do a quick plug of what I do. I help parents help their young people, in this age and time where there's so much distraction, digital distraction, and all of these things happening and building up. Because the teenage brain is a unique thing that requires careful studying and management. The young person sometimes is responding to biological needs, genetic needs from the brain for experiences that would help it to grow. So it's that delicate balance between allowing these young people to experience the things they need for certain aspects of their brain to develop and not allowing them to cross into the area or the territory of danger. It's a delicate balance that requires practice and some experience. And so feel free to reach out if there's anything you think I might be able to help with, and I'll be more than happy to help. Also, you can leave in the comment section what you're dealing with, and I might be able to offer simple, straightforward advice on things you could do. Also, let me know, because there's this debate about young people today being exceptionally bad, and there's a debate around, no, that's not the case. That's always been like that. It's just the way we manage these situations over the years has changed to an extent, although social media has contributed to the problem. Because I mean, 30 years ago you wouldn't be able to organize a bunch of kids together in 5 minutes. You would have to write letters and post and drop off, and before you get 100 young people, I'm sure it will take ages. And so there's an element of social media that has changed how things happen and how things operate. However, let me know what you think. Are we dealing with something completely different, or is it just the same young people situation we're dealing with? Anyways, thank you for watching for now. Like I said, please like and share so we can get it to other people. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.